It's interesting about the spanking because I think that is a clear generational divide too. I lived in a home where there was spanking. It wasn't, like prevalent every day. Like my mother's generation, I'm sure it was different for her. Were you spanked?
I was.
And how did that impact you? And how does that impact you as a parent today?
A lot of my reasoning for not spanking and my discipline looks different is because of the fact that I felt like a lot of it wasn't necessary all the time. Not saying I'm innocent 100%, but I feel like sometimes it was because in my situation, my family didn't know how to deal with other things outside of violence. Like talking about it would probably be more traumatic than actually dealing with it head on. So for me, I deal with it differently because I think that it goes back to the feeling part. Like, it's like, these are humans. We have to humanize each other on a daily basis to realize that just because you don't understand my point of view doesn't mean that it's invalid. And I think that that's what makes me parent different with my daughter. It's like, I need to allow her to trust me as a person. If she trusts me, is about when she gets older, she'll be able to talk to me and have a conversation. Yeah. So the discipline looks different because of that. Because for a long time, I felt very alone. And I'm not saying my parents were terrible parents. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying when you look back on it, you've been through therapy and you start unraveling some stuff. I'm like, they were just as traumatized, if not more, than I was growing up. And a lot of it is a coping mechanism.
And when you know better, you do better.
Right.
I think there was this myth in the Black community. First of all, Black folks ain't the only people who spank their kids.
Right.
So we got to start
say everybody
there.
spank.
Yeah.
It's not like,
talk about that more.
Yeah.
But there is a myth in the Black community that you have to beat a child into submission. Right. And when you know better, you do better. Right. Or you learn. Did your father have corporal punishment? Did he physically discipline you?
Oh, yeah.
And how did that impact you?
I think it impacts everybody kind of similarly because you're hesitant to make mistakes because you're like, oh, you might get the belt or the paddle or whatever, the switch, whatever you want to call it. So I think, and then you just kind of lose that voice, and that carries over into adulthood,
right?
And that was, I would imagine, impacted your decision not to hit your kids. Yeah,
because you want them to find their voice. The sooner they can, the better. Right. Because out here in the world, you got to be able to speak up for yourself, especially your wants and desires. Yeah. What do you want? If there's something that doesn't seem right to you, you got to speak up about it.
Yeah. When I was younger, like I said, it wasn't like we were beat all the time, but a lot of kids will hide from their parents. And you think about it, it's this big person coming to hit you. Yeah. It's a scary thing for a child. This big person is coming to beat you, to cause you pain with their hands or with a belt. That's terrifying. I used to run up to my mother and hold her and say, but Mommy, I love you so much. How could you do this to me? Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I just didn't need to be hit,
right.
Did it work? But no. I mean, she would be trying to beat me and be beating herself. So it wasn't like I got hit all the time, But I remember it just was never necessary. You could hurt my feelings, and that was enough for me. And I think sometimes that discipline, it is something that carries from the plantation. And sometimes it's our parents' frustration, like they're frustrated with us and what we go through. So
sometimes I feel like on top of the add on that, it's like we got so much going on, especially as Black people, working, having to provide, having to do things that you beat your kids to make them do what you want to do faster. And I think that that's where it comes down to. Like, I don't have time to think about this. I got to figure out how we're going to eat tomorrow. So the last thing I need is for you to act up. You get in trouble in school or something. Yeah. And then you get home, or they come to the school, they're like, you embarrassing me. This is the last thing I need to do. Yeah. You're taking time away from me being at work, providing for you. Yeah. So it's like a layered anger.
I understand the expediency of it, but I also think it's harder for parents to talk about their insecurities as parents. Because if your kids are doing something wrong, then you're like, oh wait, then I didn't teach them right. That's one, or I'm doing something wrong. And so the beating, or it seems like it just gets it over with, and then you can move on. I was like, I got to make dinner, and
you're expected to get over it quickly too. Your parents say, straighten your face up, hurry up. I don't want to hear you
keep crying. I'm going to give you something to cry about.
Exactly. Because it's like, oh, it's done with. I did what I need to do. I needed you to learn the lesson, and now we move forward.
Yeah. And where do all those emotions go?
Right.
Like you hold on
to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you said you know men, but like, do you feel safe? Like when you look at the discourse happening just in society, in the atmosphere, how do you feel Black men are perceived? And what would you change about it? I know you talked about having feelings, but just even in the conversation of men and women and our dynamics with each other, how do you?
Well, I think it's a very strange time for Black men and what to feel and how to feel. As a parent, I think you do the best you can, but I think because you can use your own. So I use my own playbook because based on what my dad taught me. But I think it can be a little challenging because of now it's a new generation. And so you kind of have to unlearn what you learned of what being a father was 30 plus years ago and to kind of get with the times. So I had to do a lot of learning, a lot of figuring out what would be the best way to be a parent to my kids. And so there's really no real playbook that's out there because, I guess most of the dads or people that you emulate are, I guess, younger. And so they're a little bit more hip. They're more, they're dealing with the social media because it's almost as if they, come from that generation. And so that what makes it hard is to figure out how to morph some of your old school ways with the new school ways. So you learn from younger. Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes. What's something that you've learned from the younger generation? Riz. Riz? You said Riz? Riz. Having Riz. What is Riz? Charisma. I don't know. Charisma. Oh, charisma. Yes.
Our generation just shortened it.
Riz.
Yeah,
yes. Riz I had no idea.
They say if I'm trying to talk to you and I'm trying to get at you, I'm going to Riz you up.
Oh my God. Yep. Okay. Riz.
That's how you say it. Like you was rizzing her up. So if I was talking to you and I was trying to date you and they saw you blushing and smiling
you got Riz.
And looking like, oh, like you gonna bag her, then I rizzed you up.
Yep. Riz. So the younger folks done taught you Riz. The younger folks just taught me Riz. Yep. So yeah, they taught you Riz.
And aura and those, those kind of words. And I think.
So, but is it dialect or is it how to have charisma? Is it colloquialism or is it they taught me these words or they taught me how to?
Well, it's just more so how to relate to them. Because right now, I mean, kids are.
How old are your kids?
I have 26 or will be 26, 21, and 17.
Okay.
So, and the kids are much more advanced now than we were because they have social media. They can hear they'll hear about stuff that's going on and probably know about it before I will. And so they'll challenge your thoughts or beliefs whereby, I didn't challenge my parents. I didn't challenge my dad. What he said was, I guess, gospel, for lack of a better word, because he was on a more knowledgeable level. Now it's different. Your kids will challenge your beliefs and your thoughts. And so you have to be open to accept what they're going to say and what their thoughts are.
That's helpful too, because I got a 3-year-old, so I haven't made it to that point yet.
Yeah.
So that's really cool there.
And that was very frustrating, I guess, when, the teenage years, because you're like, wait, you're trying to raise up and challenge me? Like, oh no, we don't do that here.
But that's an interesting thing because somebody tweeted this out. This was like maybe a year ago, and it was a Black man, and he was saying something to the effect of, "It's something about us that we all want to challenge our dads. Like we look at our dads, like, can I take him? And all these Black women started weighing in and like responding with gifts, and they were like, somebody posted a cartoon of a Black angel coming down to earth, and she was like, "This is my mama coming back from heaven." With me even thinking about challenging her. I wonder what that is. It's like the lions, two lions going at it. I have never had that.
I mean, and that's not a generational thing. I mean,
so every generation.
I tried to challenge my dad once, really? And that didn't work. That didn't work.
Tell us that story. What happened? Because I see you still have all your teeth. So tell us what happened.
No.